you hate it now. But wait till you drive it.
The Kibbe and Friends Show.
What it is, bro?
Featuring Rob Kibbe.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Justin Corn Dog Cornett.
New guy's in the corner puking his guts out.
And show producer Bernie McPartland.
This is the DJ 3000, and it has 3 distinct varieties of inane chatter.
Talking cars.
Do you feel this vehicle is safe for highway travel?
Yes, I do.
Diving deep on the topics that matter most.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this. And totally redeem yourself!
And the Dukes of Hazzard. Available in iTunes, Stitcher, and whatever else it is you listen on.
Turn up the volume.
The Kibbe and Friends Show.
Kibbe and Friends Show, episode number 126. Available in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. This episode is the first of a 2-hour episode. Hour 2 will be on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/KF show. Because this is the episode where we have 2 real segments, and then we review not a Dukes of Hazzard episode, but a movie. Possibly my favorite of all funny movies, Tommy Boy.
Yes.
And this was your idea, Corn Dog. Until you brought this up, I can't believe I didn't think of this so much earlier, because when I think of this movie, I don't think of it as a car movie at all. Yeah. And it very much is, especially when it ties into future Mopar movies. There's buddy movies with Mopars, with Saturday Night Live connections. I have so much crap that I have put together for this. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get to the review.
This one's been a long one coming.
It is. In our opening show credits, your clip is from this movie.
Mommy's got to be proud of that one. Yeah. My wife cracked up on that. She's like, that's where it's from. And I thought she knew, but yeah, she got a kick out of it when we were watching it.
And you're not the new guy anymore. We should really renew this with something. But when you took the co-host role, you had some nerves about it. You were very honest about I don't know. And I just thought it was so funny. That one scene, I remember I had several lines that I was trying to figure out which would be a good one for you. I remember texting you, do you like Tommy Boy? And I think your answer was, oh, hell yes, or something like that. Like, boom, that's the one.
I love it. I still get nervous because this isn't my normal thing. I'm still kind of awkward behind the mic.
Yeah. Well,
he's an ace.
It's going great. So we have quite a bit to get through today. If you are an iTunes subscriber, or if you get this through any Apple medium, if you're hearing this, you may know it already, but you got to go resubscribe. There is something goofy going on with Apple. I don't know what it is. There's a new iOS out, but go back and click the subscribe button, even if you think you are. That is what I am told that we are supposed to be doing. It hasn't really hurt us at all, rankings plus or minus. But it will at some point just stop showing up. And you never want your customers to start learning how to live without you, because once they do, they find it really hard to why the hell was I listening to that before anyway? So we never want to get there. Go hit that button. And with that, is there anything else we need to cover before we get into it? Should we just go?
Not for today, but we'd sure like to know as an audience why Corn Dog and I are the only ones with a hat on every episode.
Don't know.
Don't know either.
I don't wear hats a lot. Actually, hardly ever.
You should change that.
I have such a large head, I was conditioned to assume that hats would never fit me. And now that they have the fitted ball caps that will fit you, I just have never got there. I wear a hat maybe 10 times a year. I wear a stocking cap far more than I wear like a ball cap.
You mean like a do-rag?
No, like
a toboggan.
Like a toboggan, I got to put this on while I'm snowblowing type of hat.
Oh, okay. We don't have that
you
problem
guys here.
in the South.
If snow, it's like rain, but it's thicker. Much thicker. Significant and fluffier. Mm-hmm. And you can shovel it. It's not that hard to shovel.
Just like walking is just like sitting, only faster.
That is That's not even close to right. All right.
Meantime, future advertisers, we have space for you for a print ad available.
Yeah, we also don't do print. Well, we have a website. Seth Withers is who you want to speak to. Seth at themusclecarplace.com.
You missed it. I was going to put it right here. But
Billboard right there.
Billboard.
Oh, that's right.
On.
You're pushing. You want video credit again.
No, I just want an ad. If you're not going to put a cap on, then we can use that space.
But Bernie, nope, they're listening.
For now.
Our first segment is brought to you by Holley, the EFI leader, and the official air and fuel delivery for the Gibby and Friends show. Listen to episode 408. Blaine from Holley will give you everything you need to know. Bernie, as you edited that episode, what did you learn from Blaine that you didn't already know?
I think the history, how far back the company went, I had no idea that it went back that far. I thought at best it was a late 50s company. I didn't know it went all the way back.
I totally agree. I definitely didn't know they had World War II presence. It didn't even occur to me that they started with the auto industry. Not at all. How about you, Corn Dog? You're a regular listener. Plus, you're on the inside. You know all car things.
Well, I didn't know that, but I did kind of figure, they were earlier than what you would expect. And I figured it was with OE application. But no, I didn't know a lot of that y'all discussed. I figured it was earlier, but I just didn't know how early.
They are a ginormous company. If you think Holley's a carburetor company, you have thought wrong. They will happily sell you any carburetor you want, but they will also sell you a whole number of other things that don't even say Holley on the label. So just go check out Holley.com, listen to episode 408 of Muscle Car Place, and when you place your order, even if they don't ask, how'd you hear of us? Go ahead and tell them. You heard it here. Kibby and Friend Show.
Yep.
So here's what Holley is providing us as far as news. This is SEMA news, hot off the presses, and I had the chance to ask Rick Schmidt at NPD about this morning. SEMA is suing the Department of Transportation, and they are suing them for failing to implement the replica car law passed in 2015 that was supposed to have a deadline of enactment by December 4th, 2016. Just to kind of set the stage and give everybody a little picture here, the summary is it's the Low Volume Automaker Act. If you are a classic car replica maker, and the easiest example I can think of isn't even a Cobra maker, it's DeLorean Motor Company out of Houston. You can make up to 325 cars without having to comply to modern day safety compliances and everything else that a modern day auto manufacturer has to go through. The only thing you have to comply to is modern day emission standards. So for DeLorean, for example, they're the easiest example because they're not using new DeLorean parts. They're using all the old stock that they purchased, and they can make you a brand new 1982 DeLorean.
Yeah, they just picked up where they left off.
Exactly. They are just assembling it. But if you want to purchase from them a brand new car, they have to sell it to you with a modern emission 2019, as of this recording, compliance standard. And that's relatively doable in this day and age with modern crate motors, the EcoBoost or Chevy's little turbo 4-cylinder. There's a number of ways that manufacturers can do that. There are also Superformance, right, Bernie? Who's the guy we go see at SEMA every other year? A Cobra manufacturer. Mm-hmm. They have been getting around this for years by selling you an incomplete car. It's close, but you got to stuff the drivetrain in it. But if you are at the point where you'd just like to write a check and have a car provided to you, this was the law that was supposed to allow you to do that. Classic Recreations, the guy that was making originally the Eleanor cars, and now it's his own version of the 67 Shelby. All of this. Anyway, when we think of SEMA, we think of a show. But SEMA is a trade organization, and this is the other big thing that they're supposed to do for us is have lobbyists that enact on our behalf. And no fooling. Congress passed a law, it got signed, and nothing ever happened. So this is SEMA doing something about it. Are you guys up to speed on this stuff? I have been waiting for this for years because I'm really curious to see what's going to happen. But there were a few manufacturers who tooled up, spent some money, and they did that all banking on the law working out, and it hasn't happened yet.
Well, I remember them saying last year, and it may have been the Superformance guy, that if it didn't go through, that they had a lobby ready to go and file this lawsuit. They were ready to do that even then. and they were hoping they would not have to do that. So I'm a little naive in government. So if it's been passed, then what else has to happen? Did someone just forget to email everybody and tell them to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really know.
The purpose of the law had to do with a number of items to complete for companies to comply to. And that just never happened. So I'm going to read for you from a press release from SEMA. It says, vehicles produced under the FAST Act will be current model year clean cars, clean emissions-wise. The U.S. EPA and the California Air Resources Board have developed guidelines and regulations to conform that the end packages must be installed to meet current emission standards. The replica car provision was designed to be an easy NHTSA to implement component, as it is an extension of the common sense approach to overseeing kit car production, and the agency has employed for decades. So the biggest component of this that we haven't mentioned yet is a VIN. The cars have to be assigned a VIN, so that when you go in to title it, it's not titling a kit car, you're titling a car, a model year car with an assigned VIN. And that's the part that they've been waiting on. So the cynical side of me says Congress gets sued all the time. So what?
Wait in line, baby.
We print money and we get sued by everybody, and then what?
So like these DeLoreans, like say a new DeLorean just assembled.
Yeah.
So when they apply this VIN, does it go down as a 2019?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's basically what they're waiting on, is the ability to do that.
To issue VINs on vehicles.
Okay.
In the case of the DeLorean, I don't think you can go to them today and have them build you a car. I don't know how that works, because the VIN is this thing that gets assigned at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, I don't think there's a bunch of shells there with 1982 VINs assigned to them just waiting to be completed. Right. I think they're just parts. And then the VIN's the last thing that goes on. When we go to SEMA, I'm going to try to... Jason Engel's my favorite guy to ask on this topic. He knows the inside stuff. And there's the stuff that they can say on the interview, and there's the stuff they can't. And I want that part.
Those are pretty cool discussions that you've never heard, too.
Yes, they are. There's some colorful language in those, too. Mother effing had it is a phrase that was issued. That's the kind of the big news from today. I mean, this time of year, a lot of SEMA news comes out. We've had some interesting go-arounds just getting ourselves registered as a media entity. It seems to get a little more complex every year. I suppose some of that has to do with the fact that anybody with an iPhone at this point is in the media. But we actually have credentials and like history and all that stuff. Jay Leno will be the special guest for the new product award breakfast, which is Tuesday morning. That'll be kind of cool. There will be the SEMA Launchpad competition again. This is what year is this? This is their version of Shark Tank. I was in the inaugural class in 2013. This is 2020. I have no idea who the contestants are. I read through all of them. I don't understand any of them. Here are the judges, though. Vaughn Gittin Jr., pro drifter, Sean Holman of the Truck Show podcast, Dan Kahn, our old friend from Cars for a Living, Wade Kawasaki, who is CEO of Coker, and Melanie White, who is, I believe, the president of Hellwig Products. So they got a good bunch of people. I find it ironic they got a podcast show host on when that was my pitch in 2013. But whatever. The host of it, this is kind of cool. Aaron Kaufman will be the host. That is an interview I'd love to get. I find him to be really cool. I've never got the chance to meet him, but we've had a number of friends that have at this point, including our buddy Ronnie at C10 Talk. He interviewed it. Actually, Ronnie just had Richard Rawlings on.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that one yet, but I need to.
Seth Withers, our salesperson, texted me right away when that happened. He said, and here's how we got him. Ronnie sold him a truck, and that was part of the deal. Like, you got to pay me this, and you got to come on my show. So, good for Ronnie. Way to go, man. Anyway, that's the SEMA news. If you will be at SEMA, come find us. Bernie is booking interviews, fan signings for himself, Tuesday through Friday. And
helpful, yeah.
Yes, we will be staying at the old Hilton, the Westgate. Although I'm starting to fill up our schedule right now with kind of the preliminary stuff, and it's starting to get kind of full. It usually does.
That's a good problem.
That is a good problem to have.
It's a great problem. Days go very, very quickly, and we can get on to the after parties. which is
Yes.
the better problem.
That is that is always a fun thing. So there's your official news as provided by Holley. How about that? That sounded official, right? Like a real
It
show.
did.
Not a bunch
Thank
of
you, Holley.
hunyucks just laughing at their own jokes.
Yuck, 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 yuck.
Right. This brings us to segment number 2, the segment called Phil. A little bit of crap. A little something for the missus. Anything you want to call this segment is what the radio show I listen to here calls this segment more. Each of us is going to present one random topic that we find interesting or slightly interesting or good enough. And this is presented to you by Wyotech, an actual company with a real school that could get you in through the trades for a real career. Wouldn't that be good? Then you wouldn't have to do Phil like we do. Muscle Car Place episode 405 is where you want to go for more information on Wyotech. Who wants to go first?
Well, I tell you, I don't want to go first, but since it doesn't have to be automotive, I'm going to change topics from what we talked about before the tape even started rolling.
All right, let's have it.
No, I'm not going first. Oh.
Okay, Bernie, you are going third. Corndog, would you like to go first?
Sure. I have. Haggerty's Best of the Rest Top 15 Movie Mopars.
Okay.
So I went through the list and I looked, and then of course there was a few that seemed to be missing. So I don't know if they had a prior list, maybe like top 5 of the obvious ones. So these are top 15 of the other top movie Mopars.
Movie
There,
Mopars.
that's how it is. I'm sure you can guess one of them. You want to guess?
I'm glued to my seat right now. I can't. Is it Tommy Boy?
That's number 14.
Wow.
That's how I found the list. The list was on the build sheet underneath the seat of one of his cars. That's where he found it. Yeah,
This is why we have him do the hook line at the end of every commercial. The build-up is exquisite. Go for it. All right. Yeah. So sorry, go backwards. So what's 15? Yeah.
Oh, I thought y'all were going to guess.
Oh, no. I don't think we.
That's what I thought y'all were doing.
It's a 1-hour show.
That bet's way over, man.
Okay. 15.
Just tell us the answer.
You got 15 is Joe Dirt.
Ooh.
14 is Tommy Boy.
Okay.
13 is the Blues Brothers, the 1980 Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Number 12, I've never heard of this movie. Touch of Evil from 1958.
Me either.
I have heard of this one. Number 11, Moonshine County Express, 1977. I've actually got that on DVD.
Well, I've not heard of that one. Makes sense.
Not heard of number 10, Recoil, 2011.
Recalled?
Yeah.
Recoil.
Recoil.
Nope.
Depending on where you're from, how you pronounce it. Number 9, Tiger Warsaw, 1988.
What's their criteria of this?
I don't
14
know.
and 15, 10 or
Yeah.
whatever. They're way.
Number 8, I've seen Bad Georgia Road, 1977. That's another moonshine kind of movie.
Mhm.
Number 7, I never heard of Highwaymen, 2004.
Nope.
Number 6, Too Fast, Too Furious. And the only one really that you think of in that movie is the Orange Challenger. It's not like a...
That's the second one, right?
Yeah. Number 5 is Christine. I know you've heard that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I've never seen, but I have heard Baby Driver.
If it weren't for
a great
Kevin
movie.
Spacey's immediate sink into evil or public knowledge thereof, oh man, that's a good movie.
What Mopar's in it?
Challenger at the end. New one. Pretty heavy feature role.
And I know the cop cars are Chargers because I've seen a couple of those pop up. Number 3, The Fate of the Furious. That's 2017. I don't know what part that is. If that's part number 7 or I don't know.
I've gotten lost in the titles.
Number 2, I've never heard of. Pants, 1979.
Big fan of pants.
You gotta have them. And what they have for the number 1 top movie Mopar that's not included, I guess, in their original list is Vanishing Point, 1971, the original Challenger.
And
They don't have Dirty Mary Crazy Larry. They don't have the original Gone in 60 Seconds, which started off with a Challenger. They don't have Dukes of Hazzard.
This is the list of second tier Mopars.
Apparently so. I guess everybody else has done the top 10 where you've got Fast and the Furious, you've got Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, you've got probably the original Gone 60 Seconds, you've got the obvious ones. And I guess what they're saying is best of the rest. That's what they had it titled. So it was top 15. So Tommy Boy made number 14. And Joe Dirt, you'd think Joe Dirt would have been up there pretty high, but nope.
We are going to review Joe Dirt in a future episode for sure, for all the right reasons. And I would be happy to do Baby Driver as well. If you're a fan of music, you will love that movie. It is so, so good. And there's a little nod in there to Smokey and the Bandit. One of the actors from Smokey and the Bandit is in it. Now, he's not playing the same character. You'll get it when you see it. I don't want to spoil it further than that, but it does.
Is it Big Enos, Little Enos?
One of those was right.
Okay. I don't know their real names. I just know them as Big and Little Enos.
It's the one who's a songwriter who wrote The Love Boat.
Mm-hmm. I think that's Little Enos.
Little Enos indeed. Mm-hmm. Okay, here is my piece of fluff. Oh, I better restart the Spanish Fly. The most popular Halloween costumes for 2019 as by Google search. Number 1, It. I guess this would be Pennywise from the new movie It. Haven't seen those movies, don't like scary movies. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's the scary clown with the scary teeth. Number 2, fan favorite of Hookerween, also Sexy Witch. Sexy Witch, number 2. There are many versions of this, also like Sexy Cop, Sexy Barbecue Chef, Sexy, it's always whatever.
French maid.
Yeah.
Always the French maid.
Classic, the French maid. Number 3, Sexy Spider-Man. No, kidding. Just normal Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man in a Spider-Man suit. Number 4, the inflatable dinosaur. And I'm sure you guys have seen this. One guy drove an autocross in a Bronco with one of these at Iowa State's halftime show either this year or last year. They had all the Palm girls come out dressed up as inflatable dinosaurs.
Awesome.
Number 5, something my kids are in. If my kids hadn't shown me this, I wouldn't even know what it was. The Descendants. You guys know what this is? This is a Disney thing. These are the children of the bad guys from Disney. So like Maleficent's daughter would be one of the Descendants. It's like High School Musical, mostly singing, a lot of singing, more singing than you would like. Okay, number 6, a clown. Number 7, Fortnite. A skeleton man from Fortnite. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Number 8, Chucky. Gross. Number 9.
That one's still popular?
It is. Number 9, anything as an 80s costume. Not any particular day, just like, dressed up in the colorful things, leg warmers, anything 80s related. Mm-hmm. And number 10, the final one, unicorn. This is just for little kids, and it's an adorable little baby wearing an adorable little unicorn outfit. That's it. There's your top 10 Halloween costumes by search.
I like the inflatable T-Rex.
Inflatable T-Rex and Sexy Spider-Man. Those are yours.
Just the T-Rex.
All right. Bernie, what do you got?
When we did Halloween, I always kind of wanted to go as Linus because all you had to carry is a blue blanket and suck your thumb.
Have like 8 strands of hair.
Yeah.
Well, he is
I think people would just get it, but I had a hat on, so who would get that? And then there was one year I worked at a really cool place, had a lot of cool people there, and we tried to come up with some really different costumes. So my wife dressed up as a box of Kleenex. What do you think I went as? And you don't even have to say it out loud.
Snot.
Yeah, something like that.
Booger.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Booger phlegm.
A used piece of chewing gum.
Had a pair of black stockings that I put over my arms. That was the hair going through it. And painted my hair green and face green. And this white and green piece of Afghan that she found someplace and kind of made it as a body. And then we kind of put red splotches and Vaseline.
So you were the Mucinex guy.
I guess, yeah, precursor.
Gross.
It went over really well. I couldn't sit down anywhere when we got to the party. I just had to keep walking.
I'm sure people were fascinated.
It was a hit with that crowd. It was pretty cool. I wish we had another sponsor because this could certainly be a sponsorable part of the show because it comes from, now that's just too uncomfortable part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
if you know the name Ben Shapiro, you know that name. He's a political.
Yeah.
I don't know if they just run for anything, but he's a voice in the political world. He's got some very stated views on some issues. And so it was a surprise when this segment appeared on his show. And it's possibly to point out, as we do here, the uncommon side of the news. You guys into spooning? You know what that is?
Absolutely.
Like to be spooned with each other.
Independent of this show, yes.
Draw your own conclusions.
I'm 100% for it.
That, other than the salad bar, may be one of the best ideas to come along yet. And this was coming from the Ben Shapiro show.
Okay.
Her job is to give people cuddles. She's a professional cuddlist.
During a cuddlist session, it's a safe space. It's a space where they get to explore touch. More likely than not, they're not getting the level of touch that they need in their everyday life.
I'm just about to go for my very first cuddlist session. And personally, I have been going through a tough time lately, so I'm very curious to see if this session will help me in any way.
And so the session starts by setting some ground rules. She asks you to think about what you're most comfortable with. As a first-timer, becoming relaxed wasn't easy. Because why do you have a stranger's says, how would you like me to join you? And she's like, I wouldn't. Says, I had to rely on this Cuddle Sutra book for inspiration. Okay. No. It says, yes, it's pretty awkward.
You want to interlock cam? Yeah.
Okay, and then this goes on. It gets better with time, though. Why would you, why? Like, sorry. What?
Why didn't we think of that first?
I saw that in the news. That's a real thing. And is that the one from Iowa?
Yes.
Yes, that is a legit real thing. I'm not ready for that. but yeah.
Weird.
But if you did that as a Halloween costume, how would it look as a cuddlist? Do you wear a pillow? Do you strap a spoon to you to infer spooning?
Are you kidding me? Bernie, this is as obvious as it gets. Somebody sends us a check for, let's say, $1,000, and we send you out to hang out with them for an hour, and you just have them turn around and you just give them a hug. And they give me
it's not just $1,000. It's not just a hug, and it's not going to happen for $1,000.
It's not. No. I remember the news story. This is a hug with no benefits. This is it is not going anywhere. So this is not something.
Or so you say.
No, it's not going anywhere because then it's more than $1,000. But it's not going anywhere. It's interesting. Ben Shapiro picked that, isn't? He's like a conservative commentator, right?
Yeah.
He's stealing our filler idea here. He's supposed to be talking about laws and anger.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some laws that come out of that. Absolutely.
There are some laws about that now. You can't call it a massage. You've got to call it something entirely different. I saw that came out in the news here in Iowa. That's a shock to me as well. Wyotech, we're going to give you a free ad. We're going to give you something free. We owe you for that one because you are a legit school with a legit good purpose in this world. and
no spooning required.
No spooning required. We're talking about people that can go somewhere and in 9 months come out and get a very high-paying career in something they will enjoy. Let's more focus on that for Wyotech. Anyway, we all three. 15 dud Mopars, crappy Halloween costumes, and spooning.
Spooning plus one.
Let's get to the movie review, okay? I think we got to recover this show here a little bit. So the movie review is brought to you by Aluma Trailers, and I will have the chance to go visit them potentially this Friday, looks like. And I am so excited to see this. I have never been able to go inside a trailer manufacturing company before. I have a buddy that was in it, but they were making real trailers for, underground line boring, where they'll put in like fiber optic. And it was nothing like this. This is going to be super cool. So you will hear a feature interview from them as well. But ALUMA is the name of the company. In Iowa, it's very common to see an Aluma trailer here in Iowa. For cars, for lawn boys that you would drive around a bigger yard, it's everywhere. So that'll be really cool. Just like Wyotech and Holley, they are a very appropriate fit for our audience. So we'll be focusing on that. And Aluma gets the spotlight for this one because we are reviewing the movie Tommy Boy.
Yes.
Tommy Boy. I had to dust off a few things here. This movie, I've mentioned you guys, my college friend, Scott Peterson, and he is no longer with us. He was the person who introduced me to funny movies that had that Saturday Night Live flair. Without a doubt, of the 50 or so that he loved, this is number one. And being able to look back on this particular movie, which I haven't seen in years, was just a walk down memory lane. So before we started recording Corn Dog, when just you were on, I was showing you this. This is a Tommy Boy bobblehead in the box. This is the Holy Schnikes edition, still with the plastic wrapped on it. I did not buy this. This was a gift from a friend I got in mind. His name is John Hobson. He's a Patreon supporter, college friend. He said a note. I never had the heart to open this for a few reasons, but he had a little note, and he says, Rob, I've been going through my office and house doing a bit of a purge. Maybe it's because I'm turning 40 this year. Maybe it's a midlife crisis, but I just have too much stuff, and I'm paring things down. The fun thing about going through everything is the chance to reflect back on life and all those that have had an impact on me through the years. My office is littered with drumsticks from years of playing in high school and college, and that's how we knew each other. It is fun to share with the kids all these treasures. The Tommy Boy DVD and bobblehead in the box was a random gift I received years ago. It has sat on my shelf in my office, and I often look at it, which reminds me of you and Scott Peterson. I can vividly hear your voices in my head reciting lines from the movie and laughing. I hope this will find a place in your office or home and bring you a smile every once in a while. It absolutely does. Because it was still wrapped, I didn't have the heart to open it. I guess I just wanted to save that little last piece of it. This is the Holy Schnikes edition. This has the second DVD in it that Corn Dog has seen, that he has info on, that we will be giving in this episode. But I want to make sure that I shared that with everybody. John, thank you very much again for the gift.
That's cool.
I've never let it leave my office, in fact. Whenever I look at this, whenever I think of Tommy Boy, I think of Scott Peterson. So in this episode, out of the 34 clips I pulled from the movie, not a joke, we're going to pump a lot of this into the Patreon second hour, but I have Scotty's top 12 because I couldn't get it down to 5. So Scott's top 12 lines from the movie are all going to be in there. So just before we dig in super deep, and obviously in the second hour, that's where we're going to try to give as much info on the cars as possible. Corn Dog did his best to dig this all up. Do you guys know this movie inside out? Is this one you both have memorized? Because
I've seen it numerous times.
I went and looked last night, and this was the DVD that I still have wrapped in this box is the only one I had. I actually had to go buy it. I rented it for 48 hours on Amazon Prime, and I watched the whole thing again with my kids, which my wife was surprisingly not that hip on. And
there's a couple scenes.
Yeah, I fast forwarded through a couple, and if I wasn't fast enough to hit the mute button, I'd just yell over the top like, "Oh!" But for the most part, this is a favorite. Bernie, this is one you know and love?
I do know and love it. We still have Dish Network, so it's on almost all the time anyway. So I saw it, parts of it. I think I saw the last 30 minutes of it last week, so I'm pretty well up to date. Yeah, great movie.
Okay, let's just go ahead and dig into it. We're going to give you all the stuff we normally do, and then the whole second hour is more, but bigger. It's like going up to 11, as a great man once said.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11. Look. Right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Why don't we just shut up and play the clips? Just play all the clips. That'll be our review. Everybody else will get it. Easiest review we've ever done.
I assure you, I'm telling the story of this movie through clips. I have pulled the right clips.
I knew you would. It's going to be awesome.
I did. So let's go ahead and set the stage here. This is a movie that uses a tried and true comedy genius format, a buddy movie in a road trip to solve a great wrong. A great wrong has happened, and we've seen this done in many movies over many years, far predating the Saturday Night Live stuff. But this particular movie was produced by Lorne Michaels, still the man at the helm of Saturday Night Live. It was produced by Robert K. Weiss, and he actually has a small acting role in this. Robert K. Weiss has produced a number of things, some comedies, some not. He also was in another road trip comedy that had a crazy Mopar that ended up in the city of Chicago. I'm going to play you a little clip. You see if you can guess what that one was.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Robert K. Weiss was the producer for Blues Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked some magic on this film. So as you figure out what you're about to get here, it's Chris Farley in his basically acting debut on film, playing the role of Tommy Boy. You got David Spade playing the role of Richard. Brian Dennehy is Chris Farley's dad in a perfect casting.
Mm-hmm.
They could not have got that better. Bo Derek comes back to play the love interest or the bad guy, hard to say. And Dan Aykroyd, he's back again, but this time is a totally different character, Zelensky. Mm-hmm. And this sets the stage for 4,000 quotable lines that will make you laugh every single time.
Some of the best famous lines of any movie.
Totally does. So Tommy Boy, he's the son of a rich guy. His dad owns Callahan Auto Parts, right? A family-owned company. Tommy will be the fourth generation to own it if he can just do it. But he's been in Marquette College for 7 freaking years because he's an idiot. He's a lovable doof of an idiot, and he is set to take over Callahan Auto once he comes back. But his dad dies. And he comes back and his dad dies, and now he's got to save the company. That's the gist of it. He and David Spade have to go on a road trip to sell a bunch of parts to save the factory and make sure that the company doesn't get sold into Zelensky's hands. Rob Lowe is in this movie. Do you know what role Rob Lowe was supposed to have played?
He was supposed to play David Spade's part, I thought, wasn't it?
Bing! You are right. When this script came across Lorne Michaels' desk originally, and this was a script that was just written, it was just out there. And Lorne Michaels was trying to find different movies for basically all of his properties, people in his troupe of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
He originally thought, perfect, Chris Farley and Rob Lowe. It'll be the odd couple. It'll be great. I don't exactly know why that fell apart or why Rob Lowe was given a different role in the movie and replaced with David Spade. But this movie is not David Spade and Chris Farley playing characters. This is them playing themselves. This is their actual relationship. They could have just called each other by their normal names because this is how they treated each other 24/7, 365. They shared an office at Saturday Night Live. The fat guy in little coat thing, that was real. That was something that Chris Farley would do to David Spade over and over. David hated it. It's not funny anymore. The 50th time it was kind of funny. It's not funny anymore. Stop doing it. And in this movie, I don't recall who gets the credit, but somebody said, "Hey, Chris, why don't you sing it?"
Yeah. Well, at first, that's what it was. It was fat guy in a little coat, and it was just real bland, you know? Yeah. And then he added a little bit more and added a little bit more. And then what I saw on some of the extra footage was they went back and watched like the dailies, and he was wearing a bright white T-shirt, and they didn't like the way it looked. And so they said, okay, well, go back and reshoot it, change your shirt, you know, put a darker color on the shirt because it was just too loud, really. They said, but if you reshoot it, have him sing it this time. And so he sang it, and that's where it kind of got even better than it originally was planned to be.
Some of the other clips on YouTube, and he doesn't sing it the same. It's like, fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah.
It's so hard because we've heard these lines so many times. It's fat guy in a little coat.
Yeah. Just builds up.
Little coat. It's so good that way. Let me play for you guys a sound effect that I picked up in this movie. Rob Lowe, at one point, he's a bad guy, so he's there to sabotage Callahan Auto to make sure that the company fails because he and his mother, who is actually his real wife, are con artists. She has married Big Tom. He conveniently died. They didn't kill him. He had a heart attack. But all of his shares of the company obviously went to them. As long as they can make sure that the company fails and is sold, that's what they need. So he shows up one night to sabotage the trucks. And he shows up in a Cadillac with a Ford Tempo automatic seatbelt retractor. Those are not offered in Cadillacs, and it makes a noise like this. I'm going to play you this noise. Hopefully you can hear it. This is the sound it makes. You hear that kind of electric.
Yeah.
Let me play
Yeah,
that
like a
for you.
linear actuator is what it sounds like.
It does. Let me play it one more time. Now I'm going to play for you a sound effect from a different movie that's related to a door. What's that from? I'll give you a hint. We've talked about this manufacturer earlier in the show in the Low Vehicle Act. Imagine a silver gull wing door.
Back to the Future.
Yes, that's the Back to the Future sound. They're not identical, but they are very similar. I remember seeing this scene the first time I saw it, and like all car people like, Cadillacs don't have that kind of wait a minute. That's totally wrong. And then did you guys happen to freeze frame when the dog jumps up to bite him?
No.
I did. It's a rubber dog.
Well, they actually had a real dog jump into the car, but
yeah,
I missed the biting part where he went to go bite him. I missed that part.
The dog was on a chain and jumped up to bite Rob Lowe's face. And Rob Lowe has a cigar, and the dog actually like almost engulfs the cigar, and it's just for a split second. But if you pause it, you can see the dog is like rubber.
It's probably a puppet.
Puppet or something. It's pretty funny. The car we're going to talk about more in hour 2 as well. But what is the car portrayed as here, Corndog? What are we supposed to be looking at?
Is portrayed as a 67 Plymouth GTX convertible, but none of them were actually GTXs. They were all satellites. One thing that was also funny was on one line he says, at the very beginning, he says, I just dropped in a 440 Magnum with a 6-pack, which Magnum is a Dodge term, but in Plymouth is a Super Commando. And also later in the movie, you see the hood missing, and there's the 4-barrel air cleaner with Super Commando on it. So there's no 6-pack on it. And it's definitely not quote unquote Magnum, which are basically the same thing. Super Commando and Magnum.
I didn't know how much we could or couldn't dig into this, but I didn't find out how much David Spade had to do with that particular line or even the use of that car, because this is the first of many movies that will have at least some Mopar tie-in for him. But in Joe Dirt, he's got 3 cars that portrayed on screen that are all classic Mopar muscle. Today, we obviously know that he owns Tim Wilburn's Hemi 69 Daytona that he paid $900,000 for at a Mecum auction, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He clearly has a thing for this era of car, but specifically Mopars. And I always wondered if that 6-pack line was his. I hope it was. It wasn't right in the movie. I wanted to know from you, one of the reasons that you get to see that Super Commando engine with the hood off is because at some point Tommy has to go put a quart of oil in it, and it's a can of oil, which is really helps you date things. It's not a plastic quart, but it's stuck in the valve cover, and that's why the hood wouldn't latch right. Is that where the oil goes on those cars? Like where
it goes into one of the valve covers? Yes.
Okay. Would it be on the driver's side like they showed it?
It looked like where they actually had it would have been where the PCV valve would have gone. And the cap would have been probably towards the front, though.
I didn't think it was legit. I can tell you that when the hood comes off, when they go into the Chippewa Falls sign, that hood goes into the back seat. If somebody were back there, they'd be dead. That was a scary scene. The car starts off beautiful, and every second of every scene, it gets beat up, or they hit a deer with it, and then the deer is dead, they think, and they put it in the back of it, and then the deer wakes up and rips the bejesus out of it, and then they miss a door, and then they put a tarp over the roof and tape the thing. This is roadkill before there was roadkill, frankly. Right?
A baby gate for the door.
A baby gate for the door. Then they put cardboard over the baby gate to, because it's cold. They sing in the car to all the songs they would think. I love the scene when they're trying to sing along to the REM song, like it's the end of the world when we know it. When they get to the chorus, like nobody knows the words. Nobody knows the words. Let me give you a little box office mojo here. The budget, and I had to go dig for this. It wasn't in Box Office Mojo, but the budget was estimated on one website at $20 million, but the real number I found was $8 million. That seems to be the real number that's out there somewhere. The domestic gross for this movie, this was not a blockbuster. As much as we think of this as a staple of Americana, it did $32.7 million. That's not a lot of money, and that's in $1995, but that's frankly not a lot of money. Directed by Peter Siegel, produced again by Lorne Michaels, Robert K. Weiss. All-time domestic rank, 2,549. For the year of 1995, it was the 54th biggest movie. I pulled this, though. Saturday Night Live alumni debuts. This movie ranked number 10 out of all the Saturday Night Live actor debuts by gross box office. Did this movie rank higher or lower than Billy Madison? Which one of those do you guys think did better?
I say Billy Madison did better.
Billy Madison did worse by
Really?
$6 million or more. Billy Madison ranked 14th, $25.6 million.
Now, was that Adam Sandler's first
It was.
movie?
So every
Okay.
movie on here was a Saturday Night Live actor's debut. Where do you think Deuce Bigelow Male Gigolo came in?
I have to ask the 4 people who saw that movie.
Apparently it was more than 4. It had double the box office that Tommy.
Unbelievable.
I don't get that.
$65.6 million.
Seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Wow.
Old School was number 4. 48 Hours, number 3. National Lampoon's Animal House was number 2. And this is in $78, $120 million. And number 1 is Bridesmaids, Kristen Wiig, $170 million. Doesn't that blow your doors off? Okay. With that said, it is time to get to Scotty's top 12. So these 12 lines, I heard Scott Peterson say over and over again, and every time they made me laugh. So I'm going to try to do these in chronological order of the movie. You guys ready? At the end, you got to pick your favorite. And also, one of these is Mike Finnegan's as well. I texted him right before we started. I said, give me your top line. He quoted one of these like right off the bat. So here we go. Number 1.
So is there anything to do in this town besides eat?
Tons of stuff. Late night pitch and putt. We go to the livestock auction, cruise the 4-H babes, throw stuff off the bridge.
Throw stuff
off the bridge.
I like when they actually get to the cow tipping part. They don't ever say what it is, you know, and they've got the bar sign. It looks like neons from a bar or whatever, and he just leads them up. It's like, you want the one on the left or one on the right? And is this your first time? And, you know, they lead you up not knowing what it is, and then they pan over, and then there's a field full of cows.
Yes, there's a lot of innuendo here. I have never been cow tipping. Have you guys been cow tipping?
Never.
No.
I don't even know somebody that's done it. If they have, nobody was bragging about it. The whole scene, like hosing themselves off with gasoline, is that's still a perfect one.
Did you know that that scene was actually like an impromptu scene?
No.
They needed like a something to bridge one scene to the other, and they had that scene, and it was there again. They just kind of made it up as they went. From what I understood, was the script was not 100% fully written, and a lot of it was just kind of added on as they went. And so they filmed that one scene, and they loved it, and so they kept it.
Yeah, that was something I learned as well. They started filming without a full script. They started filming without a half a script. They just started filming. Here's the next, Scott Peterson's top 12. I think this is the line I heard him say the most, but I don't know if this was his favorite.
Oh, come on, damn it! Oh, that sounds good. Melted chocolate inside the dash. That really ups the resale value.
I think you're going to be okay here. They have a thin candy shell. Surprised you didn't know that.
Surprised I didn't know that. That's the one I think of the very most. When it comes to long, I had to pull a couple of long clips in here. There was no way to pull this next clip without doing the whole thing. I apologize in advance. This is the longest one I've got, but it has to be done.
What my associate is trying to say is that our new brake pads are really cool. You're not even going to believe it. Like, let's say you're driving along the road with your family, and you're driving along, la-li-la, woo. And then all of a sudden, there's a truck tire in the middle of the road, and you hit the brakes. Whoa, that was close. Now let's see what happens when you're driving with the other guy's brake pads. You're driving along, and all of a sudden the kids are yelling from the back seat, I gotta go to the bathroom, Daddy. Not now, damn it. Truck tire. I can't stop. Help! There's a cliff. And your family's screaming, oh my God, we're burning alive. No, I can't feel my legs. In comes a meat wagon. And the medic gets out and says, oh my God. New guy's in the corner puking his guts out. All because you want to save a couple extra pennies. And to me, it doesn't.
Get out. See, there's no way not to do it all of it. The part that gets me is the medic. The medic is at the cigar. Like, oh my God. Those 3 words that just the medic's 50. He's seen it all and never nothing less.
Yeah.
So awesome. Okay, that was the third one. Here's number 4, the shortest one.
What'd you do?
What'd you do?
My son felt terrible when he saw that scene.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the scene where Tommy has the door open and backs up into the gas pump and bends the door backwards. That scene was shot a couple times because when Richard comes back out, the door is now perfectly in place and not dented. And that's the door that he ends up ripping off the side.
What I love is when Richard's inside dealing with the gas attendant, going back and forth with him in the background, you see Chris Farley back there just fighting the door, trying to fold it back around closed.
It's pretty funny.
That's some of the best parts of that.
No doubt about it. There's one scene, we were going to save it for Patreon, but people probably not. There's one scene where they don't even use a satellite, right? It's a totally different make car.
Oh, yeah.
It's the deer scene, right?
Where the deer actually is standing up on the car and looks and says, I'm out. And bails out.
What was that car? The color was right.
68 Newport Chrysler.
And that car has like fender skirts on it normally, right?
Yeah. The body lines are totally different. They did take off the door so that we kind of resemble it. And like you said, paint it the same color.
It had crackers on it. But yeah, why did they use that car?
What they figured was when either the writer or the producer, anyways, they got an animal trainer and they said, okay, here's kind of what we've got an idea. We want to do this. And they've got every scene with the deer. They've got it, kind of mapped out on a show board. The trainer looks at everything and he says, yeah, that's not going to work. And they said, the only thing I can maybe do is the very last scene where it pops up and it bails out. Mm-hmm. But he said, in order to do that, he said, I'm going to need a car for like 4 or 5 weeks. And I'm going to need to sit in a field and I'm going to need the deer to eat on it, crap on it, piss on it, everything, and just get accustomed to the car being there in the field. After it gets used to the car being there to where, we can approach it. And there's even video where it shows like the trainer walking up and he's feeding the deer out of a bucket. Mm-hmm. And then he like runs off real quick. And he says, what we'll do is we'll get him standing up on the back of the car. And then you turn your cameras on and then we'll hit the lights and the deer will look at it and run off, and there's your shot. And so it took like 5 weeks just for that one to build up for that one shot. So I think they couldn't afford to just use up one of the cars that they planned on using on a regular basis. So they just made up another car that was similar to it and let that car sit out in the field and they do that scene, building up to it. That was the reason for a different model car.
Again, it's a big car that's the right color, but it's not even close. Again, it's kind of like the rubber dog scene. Like it's just for a split second. And in 1995, nobody could pause. We could pause the DVD, but now it's
VHS.
Yeah, now it's very different.
They had a robotic deer, and they tried to show it, and it just didn't do good. And that's what you see when Chris Farley and David Spade realize that the deer's alive.
And
in the back
it too screams.
Yeah, it screams. That's the robotic one. But other than that, that was the only scene that they were able to use it for. They were trying to get the robotic deer to do everything that they wanted to do, and it just wouldn't work. So finally, they just pulled the fur and skin or everything off of the robot and got a crew member to just kind of cover up, and he was just kind of ramming into the side of the car and out of the roof. And so it was a crew member covered up. And so he was doing the scene. And another thing at the very beginning of the deer scene, where the low camera angle is like on the ground and the deer walks out. Mm-hmm. When they filmed this movie, they intended on filming it during the summer. But, there again, stuff gets pushed back a little bit further. They start filming in September of 94, and they go all the way through December of 94. And, that's mating season for deer. So they said, yeah, we're definitely not going to be able to do any of this as far as like even just walking out. So what they did was they got, I think it was a goat, and they spray painted its legs brown. And they got the goat to walk out, and they used the goat for basically the low angle scene where it just shows his feet walking out into the road. That was an interesting little tidbit as far as the deer goes.
No stone
That's why
left
you listen
unturned.
to this show right here. Yeah.
Corn dog, what car did they use there? And that ends with a brown goat. A spray painted goat.
Spray painted legs.
Not bad at all. That's all. I had no idea about it. Can you imagine that poor crew member? Poor guy, like, man, I finally got my big break in Hollywood. I'm going to work on this big movie with the biggest stars. I'm like, Dave, get in the back of the car with this animal skin and just fight your way out. Okay.
And we're going to pay you as an extra $50 a day.
No credit. $50. You do get to come to the food table. Next clip here. This is pretty classic.
But before I decide to keep my business with your place, I'd have to come by and have a look at your new operation.
Hey, I tell you what. You can take a good look at a butcher's ass by sticking your head up there, but wouldn't you rather take his word for it?
What? I'm failing to make the connection here, son.
No, I mean, you can get a good look at a T-bone by sticking your head up a butcher's ass, but then, no, it's got to be your bull.
Wow.
He struggled with that line so much, trying to get it just right.
He finally gets it at the end.
It's like the light bulb goes off when he finally does. It's like, hey, I did it.
It's pretty perfect when it happens. This next one here, this one may be my favorite of Scott's lines because he would do it with the hair. Let's see if you can figure this out.
My head's about to explode. My whole life sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. My dad just died. We just killed Bambi. I'm out here getting my ass kicked, and every time I drive down the road, I want to jerk the wheel into a freaking Buckman.
I've seen this movie so many times, but last night when I saw that, I laughed out loud again, and I knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah.
That may be one of my favorites. Do you think you've heard Finnegan's favorite line yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's keep playing. Let's see what we find. I really like the scene where David Spade and Chris Farley make up after their fight. And this may be reminiscent of their real fight because they had a real fight during the movie because Rob Lowe was in it. And Chris Farley was insanely jealous that David Spade and Rob Lowe went out for a drink one night without him. Eventually, Farley punched him or hit him, and it led to David Spade leaving the set for a whole day. Like we can't work together. This is crazy. It's never going to work. And luckily, they did make up. I like this scene in the restaurant after they made up.
Richard, do I have a mark on my face? It really hurts.
Nope, nothing. I thought I hit you on the shoulder.
My shoulder doesn't hurt very much, but my face does. Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
Nope. Ship shape.
Is that Finnegan's favorite line?
It's not. It's not. You will know it when you hear it. You haven't heard it yet. The next line that was one of Scott's favorites is really long. The scene with the chicken wings and hey, Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman. He loved that one, but that one's a minute and a half long because I want to get to the next long line. This was my favorite of Scotty's lines, and you'll have to tell me if this is Finnegan's best as well.
Go on, I'm listening. Here's the way I see it, Ted. Guy puts a fancy guarantee in a box because he wants you to feel all warm and toasty inside.
Yeah, makes a man feel good.
Of course it does. Why shouldn't it? You figure you put that little box under your pillow at night, the guarantee fairy might come by and leave a quarter. Am I right, Ted?
What's your point?
The point is, how do you know the fairy isn't a crazy glue sniffer? Building model airplanes, says the little fairy. Well, we're not buying it. He sneaks into your house once, that's all it takes. Next thing you know, there's money missing off the dresser and your daughter's knocked up. I've seen it 100 times.
But why do they put a guarantee on the box then?
Because they know all they sold you was a guaranteed piece of shit. That's all it is, isn't it? Hey, if you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed, I will. I got spare time. But for now, for your customer's sake, for your daughter's sake, you might want to think about buying a quality product from me.
Okay, I'll buy from you.
There are so many things in there. It doesn't make any sense. None of it is connected. But the changeman is messing up the dresser and her daughter's knocked up.
I've seen it 100 times.
I've seen it 100 times. Okay, was that Finnegan's favorite line?
No. I'm going to say it's either housekeeping or was that a niner I heard?
You are on the right track. Let's go ahead and play Finnegan's favorite line.
Housekeeping? Come back in an hour.
Housekeeping, you want towel?
Oh, towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
Housekeeping, you want me to jerk you off?
What kind of hotel is this?
Oh, it's you. Good morning, sunshine.
Yes, that is yes, favorite.
And you know, when you go to a hotel with your friends or whatever, you always play that same joke. You always knock on the door and the housekeeping.
Yes.
And it never gets old.
That scene ends with Tommy dropping his pants, like to say, "Hold me." And in the movie, he's kind of wearing like bikini briefs, but he had done other scenes with no underwear at all.
Yeah, in the gag reel, he had nothing.
Just dropped his pants. He had a giant butt. Oh man,
kind of reminds me of like what Family Guy would look like.
Yes, that is a great point. If Peter Griffin were a real human being, he would look like Chris Farley. A couple more here.
Oh, mamacita.
Hi.
Tommy, scram. Don't give her the weight room thing.
You know where the weight room is? I'll check it on.
Sorry.
I'll check it. I've said that line 100 times today.
He's got to do the strut where you
I'll
like
check it
load
out.
up.
This last one, I always thought it ended with your love Z, but it's actually yours Z. We'll do this one.
Marty, find out where the police will be taking him. Send over a bottle of bubbly with a bucket of ice in a card. Have it say tough break, get drunk on me, use the bucket to ice down your marbles, yours Z.
A perfect movie. A perfect movie. I loved this movie. We're going to continue on a little more here in hour 2, but people are waiting for the biggest ratings of all time. Corn Dog, what is your rating of this movie? 0 to 10 corn dogs.
If I could give it 11, I would, but I'll have to stick with 10.
Stick with 10. All right. How about you, Bernie? What's your rating?
0 to 10. I'm very enthusiastic, so I'm going with 9. Not perfect, but a 9. Strong 9.
I am joining the corn dog on here. 100 corn dogs out of 10.
100. Okay.
This is a great movie. Again, we'll discuss some of the sappier parts, I suppose, in the second hour. I learned a lot watching this the second time because I just remember this for the quotes. When I go back and see it, it's actually a pretty well-made movie. There is a very good story arc. It's all fairly connected. I like the fact that David Spade's character has no friends and realizes that at the end. There's a lot of other really good components to this movie. And yeah, we get some time with a Mopar, which I think had traction bars in one scene. So I give it a perfect 100 out of 10. And that's a wrap for this episode. Sorry we ran a little long, but this is one that we all like. Again, we're going to carry on in hour 2. If you don't join us there, we should be back next week. We're going to run a kind of a special episode the first week of November. I did an interview with a young man who's a listener to our show, who is a 15-year-old model builder. Do you guys remember on Instagram the young man who built a General Lee model as if it were a Back to the Future time machine?
I saw that.
Interviewed him. You are going to realize there is great hope for our country, for the next generation. It was a true joy. It was the first for me. I've never actually done an interview with somebody under 18. I didn't even know what the protocol was. I asked his parents for permission. So we got it. It played really well. And if we don't run that next week's our Q&A show on Patreon. So I think our next regular show here will run the week of SEMA. But Bernie and I will actually be at SEMA. So we're going to kind of have to play something special for that week. Nonetheless, you can get this show on iTunes. You can get it Stitcher and Google Play. If you get it in iTunes, make sure you're subscribed. And please leave a rating. The more the ratings, the better. And with that, I think we'll roll over to Patreon. Anything else, fellas?
I should explain that I gave it a 9 just because of the rubber dog.
I'm sensing a little bit of guilt on your part. Corn Dog went 11. I went 100, and you found it to be a real pile of crap.
It's definitely a movie I could never get tired of watching.
You roll it. We'll watch it right now, and then do the hour 2 if you want.
We should probably start adding that to our as we rank movies. Could you watch this over and over and over again? I think for this movie, that's a definite yes.
That's a yes. Yeah.
All of it.
Definitely.
And this is a movie where I don't skip to the scenes that I like. I watch the whole thing. All of it.
Yeah.
It's all worth it. Even the music is funny. It makes the perfect.
Yep.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for supporting us. We will be back soon, probably the first week of November. And for those of you on Patreon, we'll see you in 2 seconds. Bye-bye.